What's going on, Dolphins fans? It is your boy Dillon, and I'm got a couple things from my news feed that I just want to talk about really fast. So let's just get right to it. I really want to keep this video short, so let's get right to it. First, there's this Bleacher Report article that's talking about like one player from every team whose like superstar days are over, right? Are over. And for the Dolphins, they talk about wide receiver Allen Hurns. So real quick, during his breakout 2015 campaign with the Jaguars, Allen Hurns logged 64 receptions for 1,031 yards and 10 touchdowns. He signed a 4-year, $40 million contract in the following offseason, but his extended time in Jacksonville didn't pan out well. Hurns battled injuries and underachieved after inking the deal, recording fewer than 40 catches in consecutive seasons before the team released him. He attempted to resurface in Dallas, but registered a career-low 20 receptions during the 2018 campaign. The 60-year veteran then suffered a dislocated ankle and broken fibula during that postseason. Allen has started 5 out of 11 contests for the Miami Dolphins this year, but he's playing only 52% of offensive snaps. Even after undrafted rookie wideout Preston Williams went down with a knee injury, Hurns hasn't been able to fully capitalize on additional opportunities in the passing attack. Coming off a significant leg injury, he's averaging 12.4 yards per reception. Although Hurns is a serviceable receiver, he's unlikely to match or top his 2015 campaign after several underwhelming seasons and a serious injury. Okay, so, I mean, look, he's an alright receiver, right? But, is he really like, because we just gave him a contract extension. So is he really the kind of player that we want to build around? Also, let's note that Isaiah Prince did not get re-signed to the practice squad. So the Dolphins have officially just cut one of their 2019 draft picks and already admit, Brian Flores was like, apparently he made a comment in his press conference today. It was a really tough decision. Okay. But you could have cut somebody else. Obviously, you cut him because you felt like he was the guy at the very bottom of the depth chart, the least usable, the most expendable player, and he's one of your fucking draft picks this year. So, more and more evidence keeps stacking up that this organization is really just incapable of proper evaluation. There's a laundry list of players now, like Johnson Batamosi, one of their guys that they brought in that just randomly cut, right? Like, the 8 AF guys, right? So I've talked about that before. You guys understand. Also, real quick, there's a report from Pro Football Talk that said that the Dolphins have no people on the injury report, even though they listed some players as limited throughout the week. So that's kind of contradictory, but they made this big thing about in this article about how they achieved this great thing that they don't have players on the injury report right now. First of all, they did, because they had players that were listed as limited. They might not have game time status designations and they might all be available to play, but they were on the injury report. So it's just ridiculous. And again, it's just another one of those situations where somebody's trying to make a ridiculous achievement out of something that shouldn't really be considered an achievement. Also, it's in part because we have put a ton of guys on injured reserve, and we've even cut guys that were injured like Ken Crawley. So, it's just a stupid thing to say. Finally, there was where is it? There was a tweet from Omar Kelly. Where is it? The Dolphins are doing exactly what they should be doing in the final month of the season. Poach. He said he put the word pouch, but I know what he meant. Poach everyone else's talent to find 4 decent players who might, he put might in capital letters, might be part of your future. Give them a test drive and purge the players who have little future here. Okay, but from the start of the season, apparently this year was supposed to be evaluating for next year and so on and so forth. But they got rid of the entire team almost from last year. We already know that they're going to get rid of, like, Rashad Jones is probably going to be gone. There's going to be players. There's already going to be a sizable purge in the offseason. And they've been doing it all year. They haven't evaluated anybody. And so it's like, what the fuck are you doing? right? And not only that, but I mean, the guys that they're poaching are, you know, on the same level of the guys that they already have here. They're practice squad guys. They're waiver wire guys. They're undrafted free agents. They're like bottom of the barrel. You're like picking from, it's not cream of the crop. It's the, I don't even know what the opposite of that is. So, I mean, it's ridiculous. Also too, because of a point that Omar Kelly made, actually, because like I said, sometimes I agree with him, sometimes I don't. Half the time he says smart shit, half the time he completely contradicts himself and says retarded shit. But he did say something recently that actually got me to change my stance again on how I feel about why these players are playing as hard as they are, right? So I started to give Brian Flores and this coaching staff a little bit of credit that, you know, maybe they're doing something. I couldn't even really pinpoint it or say what it was because I couldn't think of anything. But I was starting to say that, you know, maybe he is, you know, kind of motivating these guys. But I've since then changed my mind. Why? One, for the things that I've already said about how, you know, I feel like these players are really just playing for their contracts, for their careers, for their pride, for their families, right? All that stuff. But what he pointed out to me too is that because this player, and really it's come up mostly since, you know, we've been talking about how the team is entirely comprised of, you know, undrafted free agents and waiver wire guys and so on and so forth. The, like, you know, the bottom of the barrel guys, that, man, it's not so much that they buy into what's going on or really like their coaching staff or whatever. I mean, you know, some of them might, right? I can't obviously speak for all of them, and it would be ridiculous to put blanket statements on the entire team when obviously, you know, 53 guys all feel different ways. But they're just happy for the opportunity, man. They're just happy to be in the league, to, you know, have an opportunity to play for an NFL team and live out their dream, right? So, you know, I still don't at all think that, you know, these players are playing for their coaches or whatever when they are clearly part of this whole thing. Brian Flores just admit that he has, you know, a lot of say over this roster, and so he's part of this, you know, huge purge and blah 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 blah. And look, I mean, they haven't been very good at all with their player evaluation to this point. So people can trust that they're going to get it right going forward. That's up to you. I don't at all. So anyway, I just wanted to let you guys know about that. The fact that Isaiah Prince did not get added back onto the practice squad. Also, you know, just wanted to give you that little rundown on Allen Hurns. So, like, I mean, he's been trending in the wrong direction. He had one really good year, right? And then he's been trending down every year after that, both in production and injury history. And, you know, so he's supposedly now part of our future. And, I mean, it's just... Anyway, like I said, I mean, you guys can take from that what you will. I mean, look, you know, I hope, again, and I'll end this here. I've said from the beginning, right, as much as I disagree with all this, they have an opportunity to prove me wrong. So far, they haven't. You know, so far, they've proven me almost exactly right. Oh, yeah, also, I wanted to say that the players are playing more for Ryan Fitzpatrick, too. I gotta say, the dude is a good leader, man. And he's got a good energy about him, right? That's one of the differences between, like, him and Jay Cutler. Is that, you know, Jay Cutler didn't have that kind of energy, whereas, you know, Ryan Fitzpatrick does, and he's a good leader. Also, too, I'm sorry, before I end this, I did want to make one comment about something Doug said in one of his videos. Is that he read some comment about, you know, Kalen Ballage or whatever, about, you know, from one of his viewers about how, you know, they're trying to evaluate. And he was like, yeah, you know, I was one of those guys that was confused about why they were constantly just running Ballage, blah, 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 blah. You know, why not use Patrick Laird? And then he was like, oh, and then after reading this comment, I realized because they're just trying to see what he has. What the fuck does that mean? That is like one of the weakest fucking excuses that I've ever heard. Like, seriously? You didn't think that they had enough fucking body of evidence, body of work after the first, what, 11 weeks of the season? And it took for him to get hurt before you guys finally, like, were forced to use Patrick Laird and so on and so forth? No, they did it because they were trying to put this team in a position to fail. They didn't do it because they were trying to evaluate Kalen Ballage. He had already been in the league for a year. They already had some fucking body of work to look at, and they gave him plenty of time this season. And he didn't come out until they were forced to take him out when he got injured. So, I mean, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Just straight bullshit, dude. Like, literally just don't live in fucking reality and just trying so hard. Like, again, man, I respect Doug for the fact that, you know, he wants to win games no matter what. So I respect him in that regard. And I respect him because he's got, you know, a good heart and that he wants this team to be better. But I'm having a hard time even watching him these days because, like, the things that he says are just absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Counterfactual, counter reality. And, like, it's just so obvious that he's just really trying so hard to just pull whatever kind of random dumbass excuse he can find just to fucking make himself feel better, just to make himself feel like, you know, that this is not all wasted and that we're not gonna just end up in the pits for the next few years before all this fucking blows up in our faces and Brian Flores gets fired and we hit the reset button again because Stephen Ross is a fucking moron. So, okay, whatever. Anyway, that's all I got. There was a few things I wanted to say. A couple of those things, you know, some of the Omar Kelly comments and stuff and the stuff from Doug were kind of sitting in the back of my mind and then they just kind of popped up. So I threw those in as well. The main part of this was to talk about Isaiah Prince and Alan Hearns and really the overall fact that this organization is not capable of proper evaluation. And I mean, you know, Greer has a long record. Stephen Ross has a long record. You guys continue to say what you want. I mean, even like Reggie McKenzie. Yes, he drafted Derek Carr. That's what everybody talks about, you know, with him. But I mean, a lot of what he did, he was, you know, in a way, he's kind of like Mike Tannenbaum. He had his ups, he had his downs, but he wasn't like spectacular. And it's not like Derek Carr is even, you know, really the, you know, some elite guy either, right? Like he's all right. He's all right. So, okay, if you guys trust this regime and coaching staff, sure. But my guess, my prediction is that in the next year or two, you're going to be very disappointed, not just because we're going to have underwhelming seasons, but because, again, Brian Flores and people in this organization are going to be scapegoated when Stephen Ross, after about 3.5 years, gets impatient and then fires his whole coaching staff. Because they have not met the expectations or whatever. And the expectations are set way too high. The expectations from everybody, from the vast majority of people is, dude, we're going to be competitive next year. That's ridiculous. Okay, set yourselves up for failure. Anyway, again, and finally, this is how I'll end it. I hope that they prove me wrong and they have an opportunity, but they got to prove it. And so far, they've proven the exact opposite. All right, guys, I'm going to get up out of here. I hope you guys enjoy my videos and my perspective. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts from my videos. Make sure you share my videos on my channel with your friends and family. Also, leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And, of course, as always, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Phins up.